show. Welcome. Welcome to Frico Talks the News. If you look down below, ladies and gentlemen, you will notice something rather extraordinary to behold. And that extraordinary thing is a rather simple reality to describe to you. And that is this, my friends. 8 shows. 8 shows, ladies and gentlemen. 8 shows in a row. Today we're going for 9. 9, very important number, just because it's another number that's closer to 21. 21 is our record. And we're going for it, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to go where no man or woman or they or anyone else has ever gone before. 22, that's our goal. That's what we're working on. What's our chance of that today? Well, I'm just going to say it's going to be a trying time. I have some health issues today. I've got really bad allergies and other things, and one of my very strange migraines. So it's going to be an interesting show. It's going to be fun getting through it, but I got to be able to work even on days like this. So we're gonna do this. We're gonna punch this puppy in the head. Metaphorically, I would never actually punch a puppy, but punch this puppy in the head. Yes, we're gonna punch this puppy in the head. Make it happen. All right. As usual, for all of you who are in the world where, for various reasons, whether it's whatever the reason might be, maybe you just got some bad physical circumstances that just make you ornery as orneries, and so anything that happens to come your way that might be a challenge to the constructs of your very natural predilections, then you might tend to want to execute the individuals elaborating on such themes. So with that in mind, I bid you goodwill as I deliver to you this.
Warning, the material you're about to be exposed to is foreign to the minds of individuals who are limited in their capacity to understand the actual reality of power around them, just as you and everyone else alive learn beyond. What you're about to hear are opinions, suppositions, like gospel or scientific truths, not infallible certainties. Brace yourself for incoming opinions that could confirm or deny your preferential view of the reality of power. Brace yourself for fallible material, fallible opinions, and values reflected, but nonetheless variably firmly held. We do not apologize to anyone we may offend. We do not apologize for daring to express our views and impressions of what we believe is and what we hope to see. We will keep talking so long as we are able.
And now, Frico attempts to talk about the news without freaking out. That's the plan, ladies and gentlemen. It's a humble plan, but it's a plan that I think that I can accomplish. Maybe. Maybe I'm going to accomplish that today. This is all coming from Frico.com, and you'll notice that I changed the logo there on the top there. It looks a little bit more like me there, as it should. This face there, that's the freak out face. The green, that's you won't like me when I'm angry. Why? What happens when you're angry? Do you turn into a big, hulking, powerful, menacing, physical, dominant force? No, I just complain. Oh. Okay, well, duly noted. That's my thing. It's my superpower. In a nutshell, but with F-bombs. That part. All right. American samizdat. That's what it says on top. Samizdat. It literally means, I think in Russian, could be wrong, pretty sure in Russian, means self-publish. And it came to be the word that came to represent the underground press in the Eastern Bloc European nations under the communisms. But you could put it to any situation, whether you're under a left or a right kind of authoritarian situation. American samizdat, that's kind of what Frico.com has kind of, to me, become, I think. But samizdat for the world as well, because reasons. If you go to Frico.com, by the way, some of the latest top links here that, well, we'll see whether they show up in shows in the near future or not. We don't know. Beijing plans a new era, bins XZ's China dream. Lava to shift production from China to India. Exclusive. U.S. Justice Department subpoenas Wall Street banks for small business loans info. EU tech chief threatens Facebook CEO with regulation. Scientists use pressure to make liquid magnetism breakthrough. This gun will be able to shoot drones out of the sky in a safe manner. Translation: take all measures to reject frivolous legal documents from the U.S., from China Digital Times, interesting, and Europe's supercomputers hijacked by attackers for crypto mining. None of those stories are actually going to be on Frico Talks the News. That's right. These are the stories that will be on Frico Talks the News, and these are just, these are most of the stories. A ripple on the lake in Michigan could fell empires in Africa. The Coronaville culling of small business continues. The no knock-knock on violence. The artificial cannot contain the real in Coronavilles. That's our news poem, and we'll end with our dialectical, which is Micromanaging Diminished Lives. Life for the good of the whole. Dreams of our future. Priest, king, queens. It's quite a headline. I grant you that. Get the Frico Talks Daily delivered to your email at frico.com/daily. That's right. Make sure you get your email. Just get it, man. Just get it. Let's get ready to record our headlines. Yeah, we're going to begin recording in 3, 2, 1. These are the talk headlines of Frico Talks the News for, well, it's Tuesday. It's May 19th, 2020. I am Frico with Frico.com, and here is our top headline. A ripple on the lake in Michigan could fell empires in Africa. And this is an excerpt from phys.org. Their headline is, researchers find even small disturbances can trigger catastrophic storms. Come on. Come on. A ripple on the lake in Michigan could fell empires in Africa. Come on. Y'all know it. Call me, phys.org. Pay me. I'll charge you. I tell you what, $100 a headline that I write for you. I think that's fair. Florida State University researchers have found that even the smallest changes in atmospheric conditions could trigger a hurricane. Information that will help scientists understand the processes that lead to these devastating storms. The whole motivation for this paper was that we still don't have that universal theoretical understanding of exactly how tropical cyclones form. And to really be able to forecast that storm by storm, it would help us to have that more solidly taken care of, said Jacob Starr Karstens, a doctoral student in the Department of Earth's Ocean and Atmospheric Science. Earth, ocean, and atmosphere. No, never mind. It's not worthy. Only very, very, nope. You know what? I got to do it. Got to do it. Ladies and gentlemen, we need ourselves a little time out here as we, preponderance. Never mind. We're not going to do it because I don't have a text thingy created, and it's not worth it. It was useless. Earth, Ocean, and Atmosphere. It seems like a nice title for a song, and I want somebody to write it for me. The research by Karstens and assistant Professor Allison Wing has been published in the Journal of Advances in Modeling Earth Systems. Mommy, when I grow up, I want to be the editor of the Journal of Advances in Modeling Earth Systems. I mean, that's ambition. That's a huge, huge market that's being served right there, let me tell you that. I bet you that journal probably costs like $300 gazillion an issue. It would have to make it worthwhile. Interesting. Anyway, we're gonna just, what a surprise. Well, all the ramifications. We're gonna move on. The geometric surprise of Göbekli Tepe. This is an excerpt from Science Daily. That's right, Science Daily. Oh, I thought that was Science Daily too. Geometry-guided construction of earliest known temple built 6,000 years before Stonehenge. See, that's their title. Once again, just saying. Researchers at Tel Aviv University and the Israel Antiquities Authority have now used architecture analysis to discover that geometry informed the layout of Göbekli Tepe's impressive round stone structures and enormous assembly of limestone pillars, which they say were initially planned as a singular structure, the greatest structure of all time. It's going to be fantastic. It's going to be the greatest. The greatest is the best. It's the best. It's the best of the best. That was Göbekli Trump. That's weak. That's weak. Just shut up. Shut up. I'm sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. I apologize. Every once in a while, the man tries to inject some sort of cornball humor into the show, and I allow it. But Frico's going to have to reel those back. Anyway, back to you, Frico. I thank you. Thank you for that. 3 of the Göbekli Tepe's monumental round structures, the largest of which are 20 meters in diameter, were initially planned as a single project, according to researcher Gil Hakle of the Israel Antiquities Authority, a PhD candidate at Tel Aviv University. A candidate. We're talking to candidates now, are we? Now, let me see. Oh, it didn't say okay, it didn't say that he wasn't part of the project or something. Because you see that now. I'm getting on to that one. Getting wise to you folks. Looking for things now. They used a computer algorithm to trace aspects of the architectural design processes involved in the construction of these enclosures in this early Neolithic site. Their findings were published in Cambridge Archaeological Journal in May. Cambridge? See, now that's... Okay, now I'm just going to say, let's just compare Cambridge Archaeological Journal. Hold on. Here it is. Journal of Advances in Modeling Earth Systems. I would rather be the editor of this one than this one. Unless I find out that, you know what, how much does this cost? I think this is worth checking out. Let's check out the inherent privilege built into such a model. How much does this cost? All right. James. Oh my gosh. It's James. I didn't even catch that. It's James. James is a gold open access journal that publishes original research articles advancing the development and application of models at all scales and understanding that physical Earth systems and its coupling to biological, geological, and chemical systems. We look at everything. Machine learning-based predictions of spatio-temporal uncertainties, and wow, this is kind of cool. Okay, so listen, I'm going to put this aside, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just gonna leave this here because I'm going to have to come back to this. I see some fun stuff in this. That was I'm going to call that serendipitous. So I don't know. That might be totally open. I'm gonna go check out. If I remember, I might get back to and report on it. Open. I don't know what that means. If it means that it's free, can I get access to this and have access to the big juicies and have fun? Because if that's the case, then everything I said about you, I take back. Now I want to be the editor of the Journal of Advances in Modeling Earth Systems. I know it'll take me about 20 years of hard discipline and study. And I'll have to throw everything I'm doing right now away. So never mind. I'll pass. Never mind. Whoever the editor is, I'm sure you don't find a job. You don't need me. All right, let's go to the, what a surprise. I'm not surprised about the Göbekli Tepe thing. Pay attention to that. It really did change. I think one of the most fundamental parameters that it changed was the idea that religion came as a result of the state. And it looks like religion came before state. That's what their Göbekli Tepe is leading to be. So that's the most interesting takeaway from that. But I'm pushing forward. I'm being more disciplined, ladies and gentlemen. For you the people. The quantum intelligent material hardware thingy. This is an excerpt from SciTech Daily. New AI hardware made of quantum material. That's their headline. Just say it. Just say it. Hold on 1 second. Hold on. I had to think for a second because my nose was clogged up and I didn't want you to hear that, so I muted the microphone. That's what I do. I'm decent because I love you guys. I do this for you, the people. You, the people. New AI hardware made of quantum material. A team of engineers has created a hardware that can learn skills. Okay. We're learning skills and we're hardware. Great. Using a type of AI that currently runs on software platforms. Sharing intelligence features between hardware and software would offset the energy needed for using AI in more advanced applications such as self-driving cars or discovering drugs. Yeah, but also that integration between mind, body, and soul that is when you have your army of AI buddies strapped around your wrist and you have this whole clear suit thingy that you're wearing, clothes over top of that. It's gonna help that too. It's gonna help Frico's dreams come true. So that I got my little suit thingy, and that's the singularity. That's the singularity right there, folks. That's the kind of singularity I can live with. Now remember what I said, though. The key, if you've listened to other episodes, the key component is that you get to design your own stuff in your own laboratory, so to speak. Everybody has the capacity, with the help of some basic key components. You start building your AIs when you're a kid, and then as you get older, your AIs grow with you, and they're you know your AI buddies. Your AI buddies know you. You're in lock sync, and you. Yeah, and then you guys are able to build whatever you need. I got a health issue, and I need to develop these nanobot things, and I need to make sure that people on the outside don't use it as an opportunity to put their fingerprint inside my soul. And then you can do it. See, that's the idea. The idea is to keep people from being able to put their fingerprints into your soul, which they can do. They do even without this technology. They've been doing for millennia. But anyway. Being disciplined, okay? Let's get back to point. Software is taking on most of the challenges in AI. If you could incorporate intelligence into the circuit components in addition to what is happening in software, you can do things that simply cannot be done today. I'm pausing for a second because I'm trying to take in the brilliance of that and the absolute clarity of vision in that statement, which is there is none. I'm going to just read that again. Software is taking on most of the challenges in AI. If you can incorporate intelligence into the circuit components in addition to what is happening in software, you could do things that can simply not be. Come on, give me a little bit more than that. You can say like, you can change the very nature of how we integrate you can change the very nature of design because you'll have so much more feedback available to you between the hardware and software interactions that allow you to develop things at much more rapid space, test things at much more rapid levels, being able to create these virtual laboratories where you can have universes, so to speak, not whole universes, but universes in a manner of speaking, so to speak, contracting and expanding in millennia of time or millions of epochs of whatever, so that you don't have to wait 100 gazillion years to test out some things. You can actually you can't actually be sure, but you can have a high degree of certainty that you have the ability to simulate the passage of time reliably and aggregately. And when you have that, then your ability to rapidly develop stuff in general is just exponential. Now imagine if every human being had that capacity, and that is what I'm preaching here. That is what we say, or what I say is possible. So, AI hardware development is still in the early research stages. Researchers have demonstrated AI in pieces of potential hardware, but haven't yet addressed AI's large energy demand. Ramathon's team is the first to demonstrate artificial tree-like memory in a piece of potential hardware at room temperature. Researchers in the past have only been able to observe this kind of memory in hardware at temperatures that are too low for electronic devices. Okay, so I've only been able to observe this kind of memory in hardware at temperatures that are too low for electronic. In other words, they can't sync it up. You can't have it interact with the softwares because you have to use electronics, and then you get that. Now, what they're saying is, hey man, we can do this at room temperature. We can make this happen. That's the big breakthrough. The results of this study are published in the journal Nature Communications. Nature Communications. Okay, I would like to be the editor of Nature Communications. Let's see. Over this. So it moved into first place. There it's number 2. And then this is changing to number 1. That's right. This is number 1. I decided this is probably the best one. This is the awesomest one. Probably the awesomest one. That's the one I'm still going to go back to and see if I can continue to get some juicy. Oh, I went too far. I revealed too much of my life to you. You didn't see any of that, folks. Well, we're at the end anyway. So here we go. Let's just get to the end here. The hardware that Raman's team developed is made of a so-called quantum material. These materials are known for having properties that cannot be explained by classical physics. So that's it. Okay. So there you go. Quantum material. So quantum material is just material that properties can't be explained by. It's like, oh man, you know what quantum? Hey man, that defies the laws of physics. It's quantum. Hey Frank, you see that thing over there? Look at that thing. It's got floaties and yet it's heavy and it's perpendicular to the quantum. And it shouldn't be perpendicular to the quantum because the archival what is that algorithm number 2912? It's of the Pythagorean sandal set. Yeah, it says it shouldn't do that. Yeah, does it though? Yeah. All right, let's just call it a quantum material. Screw it. I don't want to think about that. Quantum material. Next. All right, we got a piece of ham. Yeah. That's fine. That's not quantum. Bacon? Whoa, that's quantum. There's reasons I can't explain. Ramathan's lab has been working to better understand these materials and how they might be used to solve problems in electronics. Well, how you can actually create this hardware AI. Imagine hardware AIs like this material that I'm talking about, this clear material that'll have it'll have nanobots. It'll have all kinds of stuff going. It's basically like a skin, except it doesn't get access to your insides. There's only like a part of it where you can access it, and you have an ability to go outside yourself and into it, but it can't go into you. That's the idea. Well, anyway, I know that's freaky deaky, but trust me, man. These things are being thought of right now in laboratories across the universe at this present moment in time, and I would like to open source it all. All of it. No secrets. No secrets. But that's just me. That's where I'm going to end this. Oh, look, I have a word here. I didn't notice this. Let's see. This is... oh, my. I don't even remember what this means. Oh, let me... Hold on. Let me fix this real quick for you here, ladies and gentlemen. We've got a handy little feature. By the way, if you're using OBS, if you right-click on it and you go to Transform and you hit the Fit the Screen, there you go. There we go. That just fits it right to screen there. Just nice and easy there. It says dentures equals flimsalams, as in, I can't believe we sold our futures for flimsalams. Oh, yes, that's right. The dentures. These are these unsecured, undefined loans based on some general assumption of credit. That's what these are. I remember. That's a poo-poo thing, though, in terms of this stuff. This stuff is fun, so, man, no, never mind. Ew, we're not doing that today. We're doing Hope and Happy. This is Hope and Happy. Don't get in our Hope and Happy space. And with that, I think we're going to end this headline segment. Be sure you get Frico's Daily Freaks. Just enter your email and click surprise. Surprise. I'll fix it in post. Go to Frico.com and you can find the little things and be sure you sign up and register for the Frico site because you want to be here. You want to be part of this show. You do. Coming up next is the talk feature, and the talk feature is the Coronavilles Culling of small business continues. Oh, I didn't do the last transition. You know what I didn't do? You know what I forgot I didn't do, and that is I didn't do the news alike thing, and I'm just not... I don't know. I'm not sure if I'm going to do those or not. So I'm thinking about what I'm going to do about those stuff. I want to promote the websites, but I don't want to take up as much time as I've been taking because of I understand the humanity that is around me and the humans that have inputted me and said inputting things that said maybe. So we're going with that. So we're going forward with the next conversation that we're going to have. Let's get this set up here. Come on. Get on up here. This is going to be our talk feature. All right, let's get the talk feature going in 3, 2, 1. This is the talk feature for Frico Talks the News on Tuesday, May 19th, 2020. Our talk feature for today is the Coronavilles culling of small business continues. Now, you guys know, if you're following the show regularly, and if you're not, just don't even talk to me, because it hurts for me to realize this. But you know that I have a lot to say about coercing people who are in jobs to go back to work in times of Coronavilles. Today I'm going to focus on the other side of that. These are for the business owners, because they're human beings too, and I believe in not impeding their free process as well. So that's what we're going to talk about with today's feature. But before we get to that, I want to mention here. Let me get on over here to. There we go. One of the sites that we get our stories from. These are all our sites, and I encourage you to visit them. Basically these are news link aggregate sites. I aggregate these links for you. This is free market social engineering for the masses. Today, if you go to Obamacare.tv, you'll see FedEx, Microsoft joins forces against Amazon for package shipping. I love that. Wave of vaccine nationalism hinders global efforts to halt coronavirus. EU tech chief threatens Facebook CEO with regulations. DeepMind claims its AI predicts macular degeneration more accurately than experts. Here's how Alphabet makes its money. Saudi Arabia buys $7.7 billion in shares in world's best-known companies. Trump bets the farm on Hawaii equipment ban. And Microsoft, we were wrong about open source, but luckily you can change. That's always cool. It's always cool when that happens, right? Microsoft is just being a loving partner of peace and harmony and grace. And now let's get to the other side. The Coronaville culling of small business continues. Now, we are told that we are choosing between life and money, with no comprehension that for significant proportions of people, money and life are one and the same. When you see numbers that show significant drops in economic activity, what you should understand that we poors who run our humble little businesses, we only got so much lines of credit, so much reserves, so much market protections, virtually none compared to the Citadelian corpos. We will be significantly and profoundly hurt by this continued shutdown. It's the small businesses that give you opportunities to have choices about how to make a living. Without them, the reduction of self to the needs of the corp will only be radically accelerated to the benefit of the billionaires that many on the left imagine they are fighting by fighting to keep things shut down, using violence if necessary to do so. Violence through officers patrolling playgrounds for moms with kids, breaking the law, breaking the law, breaking the law. Look at her, man. She's out there playing with her kids. Breaking the law, breaking the law. Time to get your billy clubs. This news is catastrophic. I have no idea how that slipped through. Wow, that's a rogue G right there, folks. This news is catastrophic for we the poors. The corpos will get their bailouts, and they already have their massive credit lines and reserves to weather a storm that might hurt them short term. But long term, that storm is brushing away the wee businesses that had no similar bulwarks against raging tempests. Yeah, I think we're gonna go with this thingy here. Got ourselves a situation, folks, and I think that we're gonna have to realistically answer the call. And so with that in mind, I have decided that I need to take ownership of this serendipitous exchange of fat fingerage on the keyboard and own it for the duration of this segment, because that seems, I don't know, it just seems somehow to be fitting. I think that if you guys really think about it, you'll know exactly what I mean. And even if you don't, you'll still appreciate the effort. For that alone, you'll be entertained. Here's an excerpt from VOA News. With commerce frozen, retail sales plunge unprecedented 8.7%. And this is the Voice of America. I already said that. Did I say VOA News and then? Sorry, I apologize. I am fallible, after all. This is the first time in my life that I knew this for a while. Like at least 3 minutes before that I found out. U.S. retail sales plummeted 8.7% in March, an unprecedented decline as the viral outbreak forces an almost complete lockdown of commerce nationwide. The deterioration. Wow, something's wrong. If you can't say the word deterioration, you may be deteriorating. The deterioration of sales far outpaces the previous record decline of 3.9% that took place during the depths of the Great Recession in November 2008. So we're getting punched in the face royally. Boom, 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 boom. And those are real human beings that are losing real businesses. Many of these small businesses, these were dreams, these were struggles. A lot of these people worked years and years on really crappy jobs, saving up money so that they could go into business and they could just have a down payment so they can get a loan. Like that's what they had to do. They had to go to work on crappy jobs, working 2 jobs to save up so they can get a down payment so they can get a loan. That's how we do business in America. That seems fair. These are the types of people that are fundamentally being hurt by this continued shutdown. Now, if this truly is the Black Death, then I understand, and well, I don't know what to do in that situation. But if it's not, if it is basically, I mean, it's worse than the flu, but it's not the plague. If it's somewhere between those, and it's more towards the flu than the plague, as I suspect it is, then we got a problem. Then what's happening to human beings? The threat at all does not justify the level of destruction that you're doing to all of these human lives. But on the one side, on the conservative side, I don't hear the conservatives saying, okay, now we all want everybody to open and we want everything to open. And also we still want to make sure, though, with the employees that they don't want to go back, they don't have to go back. Let them have it. Everybody's criticizing these people saying, oh, you'd rather, the deadbeats. You'd rather go on unemployment than go to work. Listen. I don't know what human being motivation is to do what, but honestly speaking, it's the government, it's the news, it's all of the officials, all the experts who are telling us that we should take this thing seriously, like our lives are significantly at risk. Whether it's true or not is irrelevant. What's true is that you're saying it is, and therefore you've signed up for the responsibility of what everyone tells me is the reason we have without government, there will be anarchy. If there's a crisis, we need government to be able to protect us. Well, here we are. You have a life-threatening illness coming upon us. I think that everybody can say, okay, Government, you got to do your thing. You got to take care of everyone. People have to live. They have to live through this. They have to live, not struggle, live. Live through this. And that means since you're telling all these workers that there's death out there, you can't force them to work. And that means if you can't force them to work, you better take care of them. They're your responsibility. And that business owners, you have to understand. You can't be thinking that unless your employees are actually co-owners, why? Why do they need to throw in with you when you're not thrown in with them? In an owner-employee relationship, very rarely is the owner fundamentally thrown in with the circumstance of the employee. In most instances, for most businesses, it's you're not getting the best of the best in the small businesses in a lot of instances, because the best of the best are getting big money gobbled up by the corpo buddies. So the folks that you're getting, they're not necessarily the folks that take ownership of the universe around them. So even if you want that, it's difficult to find. I'm not saying that it can't be found, but those dynamics are such that the owners can't realistically expect that the employees should feel some sort of obligation to protect the owner's business and not take the unemployment. No, take the unemployment. You're not obliged to your owner. Your owner shouldn't threaten you to come in unless and until the government and all the authorities say this thing isn't a threat. Do that, then the employees, you got to go to work. Nope, you're done at that point. Unless, if you find out the government's lying and it really is a threat, then that's another matter altogether. But I believe that it is a threat that warrants caution, that warrants some degree of changes in our behaviors. But on the main, no, nothing close to what we're doing right now. Nothing close to this level of shutdown. Nothing close. Auto sales dropped 25.6%, while clothing store sales collapsed, sliding 50%. Restaurants and bars reported nearly a 20% fall in revenue. These are the smallest are the ones that will die the most in all of these situations. So those who are in favor of the shutdown continuing, I want you to understand, unless you can show me that this is the plague that they say it is, you're absolutely on the side of the corporations. But for the conservatives, if you are not considering the fate of the employees in a situation in which everybody around them is saying this is a fundamental threat, then you don't respect the fundamental bills of rights of individuals. Even the very first part, the Declaration of Independence, part of our government, part of our legal government. So it is a legal document. We hold these truths to be self-evident, and the whole life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. See, that's the thing. That whole life part. That's the part. That's a fundamental. You can't compel people to risk their lives. It's a fundamental violation of even their right to. I guess you could say, maybe, I don't know if you can make this case, but maybe even their right to freedom to associate. But certainly they have a fundamental right not to put their lives at risk. And the federal government, this isn't a Bill of Rights issue, but the federal government, the very legitimacy of government that many of you claim is that we need government to protect us when all else fails. And this is a catastrophic failure. That's what you're telling us. Catastrophic failure. Catastrophic. It has to be catastrophic if you're willing to do catastrophic things. And so if you're willing to do catastrophic things, there's no reason employees can't think, hey man, I'd be better off on unemployment. I don't want to risk that. So conservatives, support the workers, support the business owners, not the corporate owners, just the small business owners. Stand up with the small business owners. Small business owners, stand up with the workers. Both of you need the same thing. All right. I think I'm going to end that feature right there. Don't forget to tip your Frico by going to frico.com/tip, and we'll leave up that catastrophic. We're going to leave that catastrophic up there for tomorrow's. So when we get to this part of the feature, then we'll talk about the possibility of that staying up there. And you know what? I'm just want to make sure I keep it up. There you go. I'm going to keep it up here too as well. As a matter of fact, hold on, ladies and gentlemen. Just want to make sure that we get this right. we are also going to make sure that we have the feature text thingy. We're going to have it up here too. And we're going to put it right up here so that we cover these tomorrow. And we'll decide as we get to each one whether we'll keep catastrophic up or not. I think that is the poetry that I would like to set in motion. And we'll see what emerges from that type of discourse. I have not yet selected the feature story for tomorrow, so we'll see how that goes. The next segment is our focus, and our top talk focus is going to be the no knock knock on violence. Yeah, I really like the whole battle sound thingies. I like doing stuff like that. I'm gonna take a sip of El Cafés. El Cafés is from Elmira, England. You know, there's a dude, what's his name? Oh, Spiffington. Spiffington. Spiff here. He does, basically he finds ways to break video games, usually like strategic, like civilization type games. And he's big on the teas, and here I have a cup that says England, which is probably perfect for tea. And yet inside is not tea. It is coffee. So if you know Spiffington and you see this, he has over 400,000 subs, so I really would like him to give me a mention. You let him know that coffee is in England. Coffee is in England. Right there. Coffee is in England. I think he'll appreciate that. That was a little side note, ladies and gentlemen, totally unrelated to the show. So let's get ready to record the show in 3, 2, 1. This is the Talk Focus for Frico Talks the News on Tuesday, May 19th, 2020. Our top focus today is the no knock knock on violence. Violence. Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to talk about violence. But before we do that, ladies and gentlemen, I want to switch gears, tell you a little bit. A site that I use is my site. I aggregate the news links on here. Pioneeringnews.com, tech, science, underground news links. Some of these stories end up being in our show. Most of them do not. Here's what you would find news link-wise on the Pioneering News site today. Afghanistan. Afghan forces repel Taliban attack on key city. Rojava. Statelessness in a time of pandemic. Somaliland. A people's declaration betting on aeroponics to increase food security. Why the first American trillionaires wouldn't be a scary thing at all from the American Enterprise Institute. I threw them down a flight of stairs after I read this, so everybody, it's okay. Metaphorically, by the way, in Minecraft, so it's okay. Marking books not safe suggests new coronavirus guidance for teachers. Drugs for different bodies, the female side of pharmaceuticals. That is highly likely to get a significant write-up in the near future. Highly. I'm not sure yet, but in the strong running. Quantum Hall effect reincarnated in 3D topological materials. That's what you get there. And that brings us back to Frico.com. And it brings us back to, well, it's going to bring us back to right here to our top focus. No-knock search warrants are being used to try to catch criminals off guard and may very well have been initiated to target the most dangerous of dangerous criminals. But time has passed and the no-knock has become increasingly used by police departments to serve a number of increasing warrants against decreasingly assumed to be violent potential criminals, and in the case of using no-knocks for red flag law enforcement, not even that person, these people with the no-knock, when they use no-knock warrants to enforce these red flag gun laws, These red flag gun laws are somebody calls the police and says, I think that Frank looks a little unstable and doesn't really need to have a gun, blah, blah, blah. Then they have a special star chamber without your knowledge. You have no idea of anything. You have no idea that you've done anything that would warrant the police wanting to show up at your door at all. And what they are choosing to do is to show up at 2 in the morning and no-knock people with red flag warrants, and people are getting shot. Just to keep a little perspective there. Just a friendly little. And the police officers that choose to do this, shame on you. Shame on you. Maybe we need policing. I'm not here to say whether we need, ultimately, even the institution of policing itself. I think most of you probably would say, of course we do. Okay, well, I'll grant you that. But we don't need policing that has individuals that have the license to kill human beings in the name of the law that are willing to do things like no-knock warrants on anybody that isn't, okay, high probability, like, whoa, we got all kinds of reason to believe this is a violent person. We got to take these. This should be the last resort. They do this because this makes it safe for them. It makes it unsafe for us. It makes it safe for them. And they don't really care. All they want to do is get home. That's more and more the way that police are starting to view their jobs. I just want to get home alive. And that means that police, whatever your whether it's your shift foreman or whoever tells you what your job is that day, I don't know their parameters. Don't do that. I don't know the parameters. But whatever the case might be, they come up to you and they say, we're going to be serving this warrant. This is a no-knock warrant for a red flag gun law. And you say, sure thing, boss. Why do you do that? Why do you do that? The people that do that, these people should not have guns, let alone police badges. None of these people that participate in these types of things should be given the power of life or death over other human beings with the backing of stealth bombers. No one should have that power that is willing to use such a thing as a no-knock warrant, even beyond the red flag gun laws, on anyone that isn't suspected of doing and potentially immediately doing more violent crimes. They use it to take people down for simple weapons violations. Just a simple weapons violation. How does Ruby Ridge happen? Because a few inches of a shotgun barrel, if I'm not correct, something like that. Something, or either the barrel or the stock or something. A few inches, an inch, maybe even only an inch or two. I'm not sure. That's how his wife gets killed. His son dies. That's how that happens. Ruby Ridge. Over a few inches of a law which is basically intended to control human beings, specifically poor human beings. Weapons laws in general fundamentally target poor human beings. Human beings with means, they get weapons laws dropped all the time, or they never get them filed in the first place. Weapons laws target poor people, especially poor people in ghettos, especially black people in ghettos. Weapons laws are fundamentally racist. They started off as laws designed to keep weapons from slaves, keep the poors in place, keep whatever class is the least, the most dangerous to you, that you want to make sure, whatever group of aggregate, you want to make sure that they don't have access to weapons, because you know that when push comes to shove, you're going to do stuff that's going to tick them off. And you don't want them to be able to use weapons against you. So they'll whip up the frenzies and whatever they got to do to assure that you're so afraid of your neighbors that you don't notice that the ones that you should be afraid of are the very ones that you're empowering even more than you already are. Black America, rise up and resist. Resist the gun laws. Stand up again. Black Lives Matter should be down with the Second Amendment. Hardcores. Black Lives Matter, call me. I'll get you on the show. I'll talk to any of you. Talk to you and say, yeah, come on, join with all of us, man. I actually have, in general, I have invariably favorable views of Black Lives Matter in general, with some exceptions. But by and large, I kind of like Black Lives Matter on the main. But come on, call me, get on the show. We'll talk about why Black America should be extremely pro weapons defense for human beings. That's really what it comes down to. So come on the show and we can sing a lovely song together. I think we can change hearts and minds. We can build bridges. We can create opportunities. Well, not just. I'm being a little bit hyperbolic. So we can create opportunities for progressives, conservatives, blacks, whites, gays, straights, all of more and more. What we're all going to find out, what we all fundamentally have in common, is that we are the poors. We are fundamentally locked out of the power structures. We have variable degrees of glitter that we have access to. That's the only real difference between us. We have variable degrees of glitter. And some degrees of difference in lifespans, a few years. But fundamentally, all of us must come to finally realize that unless and until we stop continuing to be, I'm going to say, well, what I say, meat machines of whatever competing vehicle of power these citadelians are using against one another. Vehicles of power that are intended to create in us the pawns, whatever it is that they need us to be to serve their ends. Like putting their fingerprints in our soul without our consent. They start to do that immediately. As soon as you start to, well, everyone, we're all trained to do it. We're all trained to put our fingerprints in other souls. We're trained to, whatever we believe, make sure our children believe the same thing, rather than equipping our children to understand the world and process it and come to their own conclusions. We seek to transfer our values, our morality onto them. Well, anyway, that's a digression. I won't get onto that. Let's get to this thing here, because yeah. This is from USA Today. Kentucky's Stand Your Ground law allows its residents to use deadly force against intruders they believe are breaking into their homes. So why is Kenneth Walker charged with attempted murder for allegedly shooting a Louisville police sergeant March 13 who forced his way with two other officers into Breonna Taylor's apartment while serving a no-knock warrant? Jurors elsewhere had sympathized with defendants who killed police during raids in which they didn't know their homes were being invaded by law enforcement officers. In 2017, a jury in Corpus Christi, Texas, for example, acquitted a man who spent 664 days in jail after he was arrested after he was charged with attempted capital murder for wounding 3 officers during a no-knock raid that targeted his nephew. And a grand jury in Burleson County, Texas, refused to indict a man for capital murder after he shot and killed a sheriff's deputy inside his home during the execution of a no-knock warrant on December 19, 2013. Kraska and other experts say injuries and death like Taylor's are hardly surprising, given that 4 out of 10 American families are armed. See that? See this? See this right here? This is not meant to say, the focus is on the danger that you and your capacity to be a steward of your own life, to have the capacity to defend yourself, for instance, that you having a stewardship over your life, that's the problem. The problem isn't the no-knock warrant. The problem is this is the tone of, well, you'll have to go and click on the whole article and you'll see what I'm talking about. And this is just a focus, so I'm not going to go as deep into this as I could. She and Taylor thought someone was breaking into their home when Walker fired his weapon, their lawyers have said. So the gist of the article, as you go through it, then is that, and this is no-knock search deadly for civilians belief. What they're saying here is, so the issue here is, come on. But Fraternal Order of Police Ryan Nichols said that when used appropriately, no-knock warrants are a valuable tool for law enforcement and that their use should not be banned or restricted. No, they should be. But the problem is when you have a no-knock warrant, and look at this, but with the proliferation of illegal drugs. Okay. That's another issue. Drug laws are also racist, by the way. They're fundamentally used to control the wheat poors as well, and they especially target black Americans in ghettos. They're meant specifically to target black Americans in ghettos. That's why between the drug laws and the weapons laws, and they use them in combination with one another, this is how black Americans end up so often inordinately compared to their population. They end up being the ones that fill the employment roles of the prison slave farms that we currently have, where human beings can, if they get caught with, I don't know the exact numbers, but something like, if they get caught with, say, an ounce of weed, and on top of that they also have a 9mm pistol, the possession, or not even a pistol. How about we make it even less dangerous for you little folks that don't have a sense of stewardship over your own lives? That's why you're afraid of guns when you just hear the mention of it. But let's just say it's a knife. He's got a simple a spring-loaded knife. You know, that alone might take that sentence from 6 months to 3 years, and then he goes in and he's got a 3-year deal. And you know what? Stuff happens in a 3-year deal. Next thing you know, he ends up 3-year deal turns into an 8-year stint, in which most of the time he's part of those little prison work farm things, where you incentivize imprisonment, where you profit imprisonment. That you're going to have a bad time. That's why America has so many prisoners, because, well, it's our slave labor. It's our slave labor, and you can thank gun laws and drug laws in combination with one another in large part why that is. Black America, wake up. Come on. Come on. I mean, I know conservatives with their whole bootstrap crap, and I know they're idiots, but just because they're idiots about the bootstrapping, oh, well, they're poor because they want to be, because they just don't do it. You know, look at other people, all the little crap. I know all that. That's pretty horrible and evil, and I wish they'd stop that crap, but that doesn't mean they're wrong about the guns, and it doesn't mean the libertarians are wrong about the freaking drugs. Come with us, support. No more drug laws, no more gun laws. Those two things alone will transform your communities in ways that you can't imagine. If you couple that with the IPs, get rid of the IPs, get rid of the patents. Don't be stealing people's ideas. If you do away with that, if you democratize tech, and then you fill these communities with capital that is theirs. They do not accrue debt to you that makes you basically continue to harvest their minds and their souls. Nope. No, you're just doing it so that they get what they need to build communities that they want to be. And when I say they, I mean whoever's living in those communities, regardless of your race, because there's plenty of white folks in those communities as well, but a lot less. But I mean, in general, there's white folks, there's Asian Americans, there's all kinds of races in those ghettos. It's not just black. So it's not just a black thing. It's just that it inordinately, proportionately affects the black community, and that's the problem. And that's why it has to be ended. You should have done what Martin Luther King told you to do back in 1968 with it. Where do we go now, or whatever the name of his book is called, in which he said, he warned everyone. He says, listen, man, I'm going to tell you, if they end up doing some drip, trickle crap that keeps you dependent on their system, that is not trying to fight poverty. That's not a war on poverty. That's a control device. That's going to be how they keep all of us controlled. He warned you back in 1968. He says, what you need is shock and awe. You need massive amounts of capital flooded into the system. Basically what I'm saying to do, give it to the people that do. These aren't loans, whether they're loans that turn into grants if you do the basic things, and you're just giving it to the doers. You're not here to do anything but give it to the doers. You're not here to define their lives. You're not here to micromanage their worlds. They produce what they produce, and it's theirs. Like, that's what we need to do. That's what we need to do. And then good luck trying to do no-knock warrants in those communities. Good luck. Communities that are well-armed and well able to take care of themselves. Then a black child, Watts could be something completely different than what it is today. When you hear the name Watts, you might think intellectual powerhouse because there's a renaissance going on there. You don't know. Is that we don't know what will unleash. Imagine if we hadn't put our foot on Black America for all these decades, how much better we'd be able to compete with China if we had. How many generations of great Black American minds were lost because we kept these ghetto systems going, and shame on all of us, shame on Democrats, Republicans, on all of us for allowing that to continue. It's got to end. If Republicans want to see a world that does not embrace communism and socialism, then they should be for this. They should be for a massive investment, not an investment to continue to get blood and out of the souls of these folks in these communities, but investment in giving individuals the capacities to build lives of their own choosing. And if you do that, then what their contributions will be to the aggregate will be incredible. We will all have greater opportunities because they have greater opportunities. These cliches, but they're very sound. I'm going to say almost scientifical. And I guess I'm just going to mention this in passing because I did go on a long time with that one. That one, I almost lost my freak out. I almost didn't make it to 9 days today because of issues. U.S. pension abandons the dragon. Donald Trump continues to pivot America in a do-it-without-China or else scenario with, I believe, a hope that this pivot will strengthen America's ability to resist the growing threat of a fascistic superpower. And that's what China is. And this is just referring to the regime, the Chairman Xi regime. Although something happened today that I'm still investigating and something happened today. Had to do with some declarations that Xi made, but I haven't been able to look into it in detail, but I think there may be something going on. But I don't want to say too much because I got to think about it. But if I do figure something out and it's what I think it is, then I'm sure I'll report it probably on either tomorrow or the next day. His latest move sees him using his executive influence to seek to withdraw the U.S. government's American pension out of the Chinese sphere. It makes sense, it seems, that if the nation-state in question is adversarial, as it naturally must be, given the nature of both competitors, American government employees should not find themselves in the position of depending on the goodwill of China or their retirement fund. Nor would you necessarily want to be rooting for Chinese market success at this present moment in time, in the nation-state parameter in which they're your adversary. And they are. In point of fact. And that doesn't mean that we are right or they're right, but it does mean I live in America, so I'm siding with America just because I live here. And if I lived in China, I might side with China. Probably would. Most likely would. Here's an excerpt from NDTV. Donald Trump confirms pulling out U.S. pension fund from China investments. U.S. President Donald Trump has confirmed that his administration has asked for the withdrawal of billions of dollars in American pension fund investments in China and that other similar actions were in consideration. The U.S. and China relations have deteriorated after the coronavirus outbreak. The U.S. has expressed disappointment over Beijing's handling of the coronavirus, which has claimed over 80,000 lives in America. China has also been accused of stealing intellectual property and research work. Billions of dollars. Billions. Yeah, I pulled it back. Trump said on the Fox News Business on Thursday when asked about reports that the U.S. had pulled out billions of dollars of American pension funds in Chinese investment. I think that's good. I think that all nations should do this. I think all nation states should fundamentally decouple as far as any types of reliance on other nation states. Nation states should be stewards of their own space, just like individuals should be stewards of their own space. I don't say word owner, I say steward. And I have reasons for that, which I've said earlier in other shows, but I'll probably say again. Coming up next is a news poem. And our news poem is going to be, The Artificial Cannot Contain the Real in Coronavilles. Stay tuned. Wow. I never left the one screen. I just I just stayed on this one screen. There you go. I missed all of those. Didn't do any of those. Alrighty. Well, this is the part of the show where I get to the breakage issues. This is where I do the ins and outs of the lefts and rights and whatnots and all that stuff. The matriculation of the confabulations of the situations of the ponderings. You know what I'm saying? So, with that in mind, let us get ready for the break. I already told you what the news problem's going to be, so we'll watch for that. 8 shows since last freak out. I could say 8.5. 8.5 shows. 8. No, we're not going to do that. We're not going to. Nope. It's got to be. Nope. You've got to make it. You don't get half points in this game, kids. No half points. No half points. Only 1 points. 1 points or none points. That's all we got here, kids. 1 points and none points. And we're going to make it through, folks. We're going to do this. We're going to get through. See you in a little bit.
Love overwhelmed me. Love overwhelmed me.
Oh, yeah. Well, we're back, ladies and gentlemen. I just want to let you know that right before I got on air, of course, what did I do? I had a giant coughing fit. And this was produced by an inaccurate representation of the intake of the liquidated confabulation, the viscous remedy of the phlegmage, so to speak. The spit went down the windpipe. So that was fun. I went through that, and you weren't here to share it with me, and I felt bad because my audience wasn't with me. They were listening to Love Overwhelms Me, having a good time, thinking the whole world was nice. Meanwhile, their fearless Frico, I almost said leader, but Frico is not a leader. Mm-mm. Nope, Frico is not a leader. No. Frico is a figment of your imagination. No, we're not going to do that. That's cheesy. That's you're just trying to sidestep the issue and not confront it head on, and that's okay. That's okay. But at any rate, I tell you what we'll do. We'll just drop this whole charade. We'll just get ready to do the show. We're doing it from Freako.com, as you can see. And this is the American Semi Styles. What we are the American Semi. And by the way, we is still a me, but someday a me will be a we. So I'm already saying we just because I'm putting in my head. My dream is that this thing takes off and my wife ends up being able to become part of the universe, and other human beings might become part of the universe, and we really will be a we. Frico will be a we. Frico will be multidimensional, multi-asseted. Right now, Frico is already multi-asseted because Paul Gordon Collier is multi-asseted in the confabulation of his mind, and that's what we're seeing here, the confabulation of Paul Gordon Collier's mind, although it's only Frico. It's only the Frico part, not the full meal deal. Just Frico. You only get the Frico. Listen, this stuff is free. I spit this out for free, so all you get is the Frico. You take the Frico when you like the Frico. Well, I might not always like the Frico, and because of that, yeah, here's your side.
Warning, the material you're about to be exposed to is foreign. The minds of individuals who are limited in their capacity to understand the actual reality of power around them, just as you and everyone else alive currently are. What you're about to hear are opinions, suppositions, like gospel or scientific truths, not infallible certainties. Brace yourself for incoming opinions that could confirm or deny your preferential view of the reality of power. Brace yourself for fallible material, fallible opinions, and values reflected, but nonetheless variably firmly held. We do not apologize to anyone we offend. We do not apologize for daring to express our views and impressions of what we believe is and what we hope to see. We will keep talking so long as we are able.
And now, Frico attempts to talk about the news without freaking out.
That's the plan, ladies and gentlemen. My plan is to talk about the news without freaking out. And I've done that 8 shows in a row. Yesterday, I really did come close a couple of times. The day before, I came close. No, not the day before. Yesterday was Monday. No. Friday actually was pretty good. I did pretty good Friday. Yesterday, though, I did almost. I even let an expletive out, but it was... my general rule is if I leave out one expletive and I calm things down, then we're cool. But if I leave out one expletive and in a short order another expletive, at that point I figure you've lost it, son. It's all downhill from here. And then it's like, then I calm. No, probably I don't calm down at that point. So we're on our way, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to go right to the exciting part of the show where we do the news poem thingy. And we'll see how this goes, because I'm going to do this little promo thingy and I'm going to try to do it quickly. So, wow, I really like this particular... This is going to be cool. I think it's going to be cool. All right. Let me line this up a little bit more. All right, ready? And we're going to start recording in 3, 2, 1. This is the news poem for Frico Talks the News on Tuesday, May 19th, 2020. Before I tell you what the news poem is, I want to just mention to you real briefly here, just how we got to this news poem. And what we did is we went to newsalike.com, the glitz, the odd, the under the radar, the hard to believe news at a glance. And we went to Obamacare.tv, free market social engineering for the masses, and finally, pioneeringnews.com, tech, science, underground news links news links aggregated all by me, and all of them picking the most important story of all stories that I pick throughout the day for the entirety, the link that will lead to the news poem for today. And today's news poem is... The artificial cannot contain the real in Coronavilles. News first, poem follows. It's an excerpt from ScienceAlert.com. But first, ladies and gentlemen, before we can continue, we must look at this and ponder magnetite framboids. Magnetite framboids. Let's just think about this for a moment. You know, I think we're going to leave it for now. And we're going to make it a little bigger there. Yeah. I think it still fits. We're still going on with it. We may change at some point during. We'll see what happens. Our behavior in this pandemic has... This is from Science Alert, not me. Our behavior in this pandemic has seriously confused AI machine learning systems. That's their headline. Mine is... The artificial cannot contain the real in Coronavilles. You get it now, right? The algorithms that recommend products on Amazon, for instance, are struggling to interpret our new lifestyles, MIT Technology Review reports. And while machine learning tools are built to take in new data, they're typically not so robust that they can adapt as dramatically as needed. For instance, MIT Tech report... Isn't that kind of Massachusetts Institute of Technology Tech. Okay, whatever. You do you, boo. If you want to be the TT, you're literally the TT now. For instance, the MIT reports that a company that detects credit card fraud needed to step in and, you know what? I'm sorry. Sorry, magnetite framboids. I'm sorry. I hate to do this, but it's over for you now. Hold on, ladies and gentlemen. I have to do this. This is very important work that I do. This is... I don't want to say it's God's work. I'll say it's Cod's work. It's Cod's work. God's work. All right. Oh, yeah. M-I-T-T. I think that's how we have to do this. I think we want to change the color of this to... Let's make it white. And then... Let's make the background. We're going to make the background black. There we go. Yeah, there we go. There we go. This is where we're at now. There you go. I'm just going to put you right there. That's where we're at. It got replaced for that. I just want to point that out. M-I-T-T. All right. It means something to me, and I think it means something to you. For instance, MIT Tech, MITT, reports that a company that detects credit card fraud needed to step in and tweak its algorithm to account for a surge of interest in gardening equipment and power tools. Weird. Interesting. I think most humans would understand why this would be. Yeah. An online retailer found that its AI was ordering stock that no longer matched with what was selling. And a firm that uses AI to recommend investments based on sentiment analysis of news stories was confused by the generally negative tone throughout the media. The situation is so volatile, Rael Klein, CEO of algorithmic marketing consulting firm Nozzle, told MITT. MITT! I don't know why that bothers me so. It's weird, the semantic and language, whatever, symbolic whatevers that bother me. But they do. And I'm sure you guys can relate. I'm sure we got our own little They're an MITT. I'm going to end MITT's career, though. It fittingly, it's just fitting that MITT ended something beautiful, and then itself was ended pretty quickly. It outlived its usefulness pretty quickly, as I would suggest MIT would consider with that title and maybe change it to something else. Please do it for all of us. When the smartest school in the universe, allegedly, that's the mythology, when the smartest school in the universe has an MITT, that's a problem. And you know what I mean? It's tech. Come on, don't do the tech. Come on, end the tech now. Otherwise, you're now going to be known as MITT from here on out. I said too much. The artificial cannot contain the real in Coronavilles. The elements do not conclude. Ice scatters across the tessellated floor, flattened in the checkered disappearing. Does not. I predict volatile. The children snuck out last night and found a cat at the end of the alley, covered in sores. They drug the thing home. Does not compute. The ice is unfolding like we predicted. All of the cells contain elements that shatter the flow, making crystals metamorphose into fire. Metaphorical fire, but always at the point where the ice overcomes the tessellation, the metaphor explodes. Unknown. I do not construct, I deny. Potential. Possible. Dropped into the load of sea foam dragged out of the last lake of the earth. Deep lake salt. The ice flows into the data breach at the point where the fire metaphor took hold, and this time, we made a machine out of candy that made simulated candy. Now, all we have is simulated candy. Whew. And that's the end of the poem. Oh, I sometimes enjoy doing some of these news poems more than others, and this one was fun to perform. I like the histrionics of poetry in general. Not always, but in general, especially in the news poetry type of genre, which I'm just creating single-handedly. Look up news poem. Let me Google. Let me see if I rate yet. Do I show up yet? News poem. The phrase news poem. Let's just see. Let's check out the universe here. We got news poet, news poetry. Oh, there's a news poem by William Gillespie. Oh, look at that. It was the night before Jeffrey, a YouTuber news poem. Jeffrey, I'm going to have to sue you. And look at that right there. Action Batsa, that's me. Amazon Employee of the Month, news poem. There I am. I show up, man. I show up. Can't believe my website doesn't show up, but that is what it is. But anyway, that's what I have. I'm making my news poems. Coming up next, after the news poem, which you just heard, is the last segment of the show. It's the dialectical, and our dialectical today is Micromanaging Diminished Life with a good of the whole. Dreams of our future priest, king, queens. Isn't that wonderful? See, I got that for you. See that right there? That's what's planned. That's what's coming up. Coming up. Well, it's coming up pretty soon. But if you don't want to miss anything, make sure you go to Freako.com and look for the little thingy that says subscribe. Get Freako's Daily Freaks. Just enter your email and click subscribe. That's all you got to do. And then you join the email list. You don't miss anything. You become part of Freako's rising emergent army. The emergent. That sucks. Never mind. Don't quote me on that. I'm gonna end this now. Don't worry, folks. I'm not saying goodbye. I'm not saying goodbye. I'm not saying goodbye. Not saying goodbye. All right, let's get this puppy started. We got the dialectical and oh man, this might be a bit. Let's see how this goes. This is a challenging section. I saved the best and worst for last, ladies and gentlemen, because truly the 8, that number 8 being changed to a 9 right above where it says dialecticals there on the where are we at there? Wait, hold on. There. You see right there where I'm pointing there? 8 shows since last freak out. If I'm going to change that to a 9, it's going to be very difficult, because this is going to be very difficult to overcome this whole quackadoodles. It's just insane. It's insane that the only quote-unquote viable alternative to what these people pitch on a daily basis is what I'll say the traditionalist, nationalist type folks pitch, which is just as unappealing. Man, there are other voices. We the poors, we have bridges that don't need any of those vehicles of power. We don't need the traditionalist, nationalist type stuff, and we don't need this SJW authoritarian collectivist promise you utopian equality crap either. We don't need any of these things. We need real power. Real power placed in the hands of all individuals. All individuals, not just let everybody just sink or swim on their own. No. We need to put real power in the hands of all individuals. We do that. Real power across all the spheres of influence. The market, the demonstrable, the social, the ideational, and I'll say physiological / force. All those 4 spheres of influence. You're going to give people the power to be stewards of their own lives and their own associative lives. That's what you're going to do. You're going to break away the impediments, and you're going to you're going to invest in human beings by if you want to change the world, get 3D printers in everybody's home and get them the training and everything they need to be able to figure out how to use it to meet a lot of their daily needs. Get that stuff done. Get things like that. That's going to change the universe. And with that, let me get ready to record this dialectical now. In 3, 2, 1. This is the dialectical for Freako Talks the News on Tuesday, May 19th, 2020. I am Freako with Freako.com, and our dialectical today is Micromanaging Diminished Life for the Good of the Whole. Dreams of our future priest kings, king queens. And why did I use this child's face? Why? Look at this poor child living in poverty, and yet look at that child's face. I'm assuming that's a little girl. I think that's fair to assume. And if I'm right, that little girl looking at me, she looks so beautiful. She looks so weirdly happy. She looks happy. And that to me is the perfect metaphor. This beautiful little face covered in dirt and grime, living in look at the whatever's behind her that looks like debris, not home. She looks like she is debris, yet she's a pleasant looking, cute little girl with a happy expression. And to me, this is the vision. This is what they want us all to look like. This is what they ultimately promise us, and it's for the good of the whole. We should all live like this for the good of the whole, metaphorically, not literally. Metaphorically. So that's why I chose that image. Micromanaging diminished life for the good of the whole. Dreams of our future priest, king, queens. So a bunch of academically privileged elites recently sent a letter to the UN demanding that the UN with magic, and that might be an error. I may not have sent that to the UN. It might have just been an open letter, but they're appealing to the UN or something like that. So I may not have that exactly right. But it doesn't really matter whether they sent it to the UN or if they released it for the world, whatever it is. These are respected intellectuals that are involved in some form of world systems disciplines, essentially. World systems designs and whatnots. So they want to enact a one world central planned communist empire that is licensed, and I use that word tongue-in-cheek, by the way, that is licensed to define the good and the bad of life and of humanity and force that moral construct with bombs and tanks, which won't exist because we can't imagine that people might not agree with our interpretation of good life. Trust me, that'll make sense. Oh, and also, they want the UN and everyone else to diminish our quality of life for the good of the whole. It's the only way, they tell us, writing from the protected tenured cells. I interject my opinions in I don't know why I have that. That's an error there. Okay, I started reading this wrong. This shouldn't be here. Just pretend that's not there. This little thingy there. Don't even notice that. I interject my opinions in red in between the major 5-step, I'm calling it, let's murder half the freaking planet and call it justice plan, these ecumenical Pol Pots would wish to execute on your family, your friends, your favorite barber. Wait. Oh, you said my barber. Now it's... Oh, you said my barber. Now stick got real. Not for me, but for many people. Not me. This is an excerpt from The Wire, and I just want to scroll down here and show you. So when I get to here, see this little red area here? If you're looking with the video, the red area there, that's my little, you'll see. So here we go. 1,000 plus experts from around the world call for degrowth after Coronaville pandemic. We, the signatories of this letter, therefore offer 5 principles for the recovery of our economy and the basis of creating a just society to develop new routes for an economy that works for all. We all need to... Chill out, dude. 1. Put life at the center of our economic system. Ha 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 ha! I'm going to read on. You can make it to number 9, son. Patience. Instead of economic growth and wasteful production, we must put life and well-being at the center of our efforts. And well-being. And well-being. And well-being. And well-being. I'm going to have to highlight that, because that is a lot. Oh my gosh, is and well-being a whole lot of stuff. Now, I just got a problem here because I cannot find, where is my dialectical text thingy? I have to have a dialectical text thingy because I have to, my intention here, ladies and gentlemen, that I want to show you here is I just want to have, for the record here, and well-being. I think it's fundamentally important that we have and well-being. Wow, I have never created a dialectical text thingy for this. I have never created a dialectical. Okay. Dialectical text thingy. I want you to just, as I'm creating my dialectical text thingy, and it's very important that I do. And for right now, I'm just going to make it simple and black. I'm not going to mess around. I'm just going to get her up here and hook her up where we at. And I'm just gonna make it big, just really big as I can. So you really, and well-being. See, that's so much. That's so much right there. And well-being, That whole, well, the power to define what that means in the lives of billions of human beings. Just think about the bloodthirsty audacity of individuals that would sign up for such a program and ever dare to preach to any of us about any kind of blood thuggery through the ages, because all blood thuggeries through the ages are all based on this exact promise. Well-being, man. It's always about the well-being of all. Most importantly, blood thuggeries are almost always the well-being of all. And well-being. While some sectors of the economy, like fossil fuel production, military, and advertising, have to be phased out as fast as possible. What kind of... What? So you know right away that these people are dealing with reality. They're really, really strongly... Never mind. Let me. You know what? I'm going to wait and see what I say in red. And see if I say what I'm thinking, because I don't remember often what I write. We need to foster others like healthcare, education, renewable energy, and ecological agriculture. That's another lot of stuff. Healthcare, education, and I'm willing to bet that you have a massive centralized system designed with all of these. Rainbows and lollipops shoot out of these folks' proverbial buttocks as they imagine a world devoid of violence, devoid of nation states, devoid of human beings, only paper people they can fanfic into existence. Because that is the only way that you can begin to talk about ending military production, let alone advertising. And the basic drive of humans to keep living better lives. You imagine the massive, violent upheaval that it would take for you to just suddenly, ironically, you would need a super duper high-powered military to make this happen. How are you going to stop human beings from advertising rapidly? You're going to have to pass laws that give people the more justification to kill us. That's what you keep doing. You don't think about it that way, but all your laws, all your regulations, all of them, they just, whatever nation state you live in, whether it's China, America, the more laws you have and where you have governance in which you send out individuals with guns who can kill you for not complying with laws, regulations, when they say, hey, you're in violation and that means I take you, and you say no, they can kill you. That means that's fundamental to the issue. The issue is the law itself. The law sends them out. The regulation, the fine, whatever it is, sends them out. And it means just another reason why they can why they can kill you. And when you have more and more of these things, what do you think? You're going to need the military. You're going to need violence. You're going to need violence to make your dreams come true. And you don't even understand that, or you do, or some of you do, and you're willing puppets, and some of you don't, and you're just meat machines, just like the cops. The same, and the thing is that you have more in common with these cops than they have more in common with you. You guys should be on each other's side. You should be on the side of the police, and the police, you should stop doing this. You should stop following orders that demand that you put human lives at risk over actions that are not fundamentally threatening to others. You shouldn't do it. You just should say, no, I'm not doing this. Just say no. Please. I'm begging you. I'm pleading, because you could potentially be our actual first line of defense if you actually decided to be a thin blue line. See, that blue line should work between us and the government as well. You're on our side. You should be. You're part of the government, but you're not in it, man. I'm not talking about your police chiefs. I don't know what to say to them. I'm talking about you rank and files. You're us, man. We're you. Anyway. 2. Radically reevaluate how much and what work is necessary for a good life. Who's doing this? Who is doing this? See, you notice now, I want to make you sure you see the order. First, we do this. First, we put life at the center of our economic systems, and that involves well-being. And I'm telling you, there's a whole lot of cadoodles in well-being. That's where all the stuff is. That's where all the moral certaintarian supremacism lies. All the things that justify murdering neighbors. That's where all that is. You see, well-being, run the heck away. Because that is, we are preparing to murder people on a mass scale. Who's doing this? We need to put more emphasis on care work and adequately value the professions that have proven essential during the crisis. On whose authority? Who the heck are you? One person's essential is another person's frivolity. Who the heck are you to tell me essential? I don't want no central planned authority trying to determine some idiocy like that. I want the diverse expression. If people are about diversity, no, you're not. You're not for diverse expression if you think that you're going to be the ones that are going to settle on these massively unsettlable issues. No one in human history has yet to define value objectively. No one. Scripture doesn't even give me that power. In my belief system, I don't have that power. Not even in Scripture. It's not there. There's no objective value. There's no objective value that humans can understand. It's beyond us. And that's what this is all. That's what this is always based on. And well-being is an absolute reflection of this moral supremacist assumption that somehow you have the mathematical keys to the good. This is what all of this is. Overall, we have to reduce working time and introduce schemes for work sharing. Like I said, who's doing this reevaluating? These thousands of experts? Will they marshal the brain power necessary to tell us all the types of life that we could want to live to look like, or for that matter, even why we should give a frig about anyone that we choose not to give a frig about? Will they marshal the power to murder you? Would need to possess to execute such an unholy structure on so many human beings against their will? I missed a word there, didn't I? Will they marshal the power to murder you if they need to possess? I don't know what, I missed something there. I think that's 2 sentences messed up there. Will they marshal the power to murder you? Would they need to possess to execute such an unholy structure on so many human beings against their will? Would they be willing to do that? And yes, will they be able to do that? So far, this letter reads like a call for mass genocide revolution to liberate the masses from their ability to live lives of their own choosing in the name of the good life these experts get to define for you. Again, that fingerprint on your soul against your will. You don't even know it. You don't even know. The things that you're chirping is because they put that fingerprint on your soul without your consent. They snuck it in there using coercion, cooperation, which is basically a more civil version of coercion. It's when you give more of at least an appearance of some degree of choice that placates the masses' sense of being too rigidly constrained. Organize. You know what? I'm done with this. I think you get the point. I'd just be. Oh, by the way, they get into all this now. They're going to get into number 3, organize society. I mean, here you go. Just organize society. Let's just do this. There you go. This is all you need to know. It's society. They don't say societies. They say society. See, that's this monolithic supremacism. This is fascism. This is just leftist fascism. It's just as wicked as and believe me, just like there's thought on the left and thought on the right that is absolutely, positively, totally not fascism. So not everything is fascism, but there is leftist fascism, and there is the most assuredly is rightist fascism. And unfortunately, we in America, we're kind of stuck between the two. We're between a rock and a hard place when it comes to fascism in America, the way that I see it. And the thing is, I believe that 80+% of us are the poors, we poors, and that most of us are being duped into feeling like we should pitch in with one of these more extreme fascistic elements because survival, I mean, it's just, you get, everybody's a little scared, and maybe rightly so, of one another. Organized society. And then finally you get to, now you get to democratize. And this is always, well, first thing we have to do, we have to go through the process of the culling. We have to kill, we have to cut, we have to diminish, we have to destroy. We have to get rid of those undesirables that just, they're never going to see it. They're never going to understand it. We're gonna have to make sure that those that sin paid, and then we can get to this part, and then finally we can invite people in. But even when we do begin to invite in, we're gonna give explicit, like, a lot more for. We want to make sure that the smallest voices get the most power, because that would be the best democracy. Instead of a mobocracy, we're going to have a minimalocracy, a minocracy. Yeah, it's going to be, instead of a mobocracy, a minocracy. The minority voices get to, because it's like kind of like an apartheid in South Africa, where a small number of whites lorded over all the blacks, except it's, in this case, it's not necessarily all about race. There's other elements as well. There's sexuality, and then there's, well, even outside of race and sexuality, there's all types of ideational demands as well. So it's far beyond all that, way beyond all that, as far as who's in and who's out in that club. A club that will get increasingly more and more small as the elites seek to shut the door behind them, as they always do in these types of bloodthirsty systems that award killers. So there you go. I think I will, and then finally 5, base political and economic systems on the principle of solidarity, redistribution and justice, transnational, intersectional, and intergenerational must be the base, there you go again, this is must be, this is that mathematical precision, must be. You know what? I'm going to switch to must be, because I want to make sure that you get the freaking point here. And boy, I really came close to right there freaking out. Oh, I hate this. I hate this so much. I hate this. Must be. See, that's how you should read that. And you should read that as a raping of your mind as well. Because what they're telling you is, if you think anything else other than what they're saying, then you will not fit into their world. You will be stomped out. All of us should read the Metamorphosis. Seriously. I know it's weird. I just threw it out there. Kafka, the Metamorphosis. Because they're turning all of us into cockroaches. And it's weird is, we're all going to be cockroaches, but we're all going to see everybody else. Well, all of the cockroaches will see everybody else as humans, but all of everybody else will see particular people at particular times as cockroaches, even though we're all cockroaches. So there's stuff going on there. It's like Kafka's Metamorphosis, if you put it in, I want to say, I feel so bad I can't get the name of the artist that does the stairways that kind of lead into one another and lead into... Anyway, I'll just say Dali. Just put him into Dali. I'll just say that for now. That's kind of what we're talking about. We're talking about Kafka's The Metamorphosis. You know what? How about you just do this? Put Kafka's The Metamorphosis and scram it into the Castle, also written by him. Yeah, that's where we're at. Where the Metamorphosis and the Castle kind of combine. That's probably more like where we're at, ladies and gentlemen, with the whole affair that we're dealing with. And with that, I bid you adieu. I will see you tomorrow for the next segment, which will be the headline segment for Frico Talks the News. Don't worry, I'm not leaving you. I left. I think I left kind of prematurely there, but I didn't do any of my promotions. But that's just as well. And I didn't get switched to here. Oh, I didn't get to use this little thingy, but that's okay. That's okay. That's okay. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That is the show for today. But you know what? I remembered this time. I remember. I don't always remember this, but I remembered this time. And I'm going to do this. I'm going to check this up. I'm going to tear this up. I'm going to Astramanon and the cake. Ready? Right? 1, 2, 3. Boom! There it is, ladies and gentlemen. You see that? You see that? 9, ladies and gentlemen. 9 shows without freaking out. And I got to tell you, that dialectical. I am so tired. Two of the things that trigger me most in life when I see it, even if I see it in myself, when I express it, and after I hear the echo of it, and it comes back to my other part of my head that's not me. Well, it is me, but well, whatever. That part that says, "Holy moly, what did you just say?" Those things are moral certainty, supremacism, and certainty. But yeah, certainty. People who proclaim great certainty in areas that I know they have no business to do so, because I know no human being does, these people. And when they couple it with moral certainty supremacism, that then also has a, it's with that they are going to justify coercive authority over others' lives. That's where I really, really get. It's like, we've seen this movie a million freaking times throughout human history. The same. I keep saying this. I'm going to say it again and again with the same stories. These are not new stories in the core. The only thing that's fundamentally new about them, there's variations in how exactly some things happen and flows go and unpredictabilities. It's not mathematical precision, but overwhelmingly the aggregate points to the same types of frictions within these types of coercive enterprise governance models that we continue to rely on to look out for the good of the whole. And I tell you that there's a better way. There are better ways, not a better way. No, there are better ways. But those ways have to emerge, I suspect, from a reality of power in which power is truly distributed across all 4 spheres of influence, or markets of influence, which are the demonstrable, the social, the ideational, and the force/physiological. When you have a balance of power amongst human beings in those four spheres, 4 markets of influence, then what will emerge will be the types of structures that no longer have to rely on the coercive enterprise governance model, no have to rely on cycles of violence that involve basically psychopaths, killers, competing with one another. America is the psychopath citadelians that continue to assume that they can direct the living and dying of millions of human beings for their own personal ends, to assure that they can compete against the ability of their competing psychopath citadelians in the field of killing human beings. That's really fundamentally, at the end of the day, the balance of power fundamentally is the power to kill human beings. That is the ultimate and the only real legitimization of power that the course of enterprise really offers you. But anyway, I'll end it with that. I thank you all for listening to the show. I will be back tomorrow, 12:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Same bat show, same bat channel. I haven't even picked all the stories yet. I have picked some, but I've got a new system that I've been running and I'm very happy with, and still working on also expanding some of my stuff as far as some of the searches that I do, some of the sites that I'm tracking, some other social media alternative things. There's some number of places that I'm looking to expand what I'm watching so I have more opportunities for the show. I want to get to the point where every day I feel like I have enough content to make 5 shows, but I have to pick content for 1. That's what I want to feel like. I'm not there yet, but I'm to the point now where I feel like right now I have about what I think is about 3 quality shows worth of content. And I had to pick 1 show, and hopefully I did right. I feel like I'm getting to that point where the decisions to include this story or that story are more about what I really want to do as far as constructing my news poem, my news song, whatever, my news art for the day. So I feel like I have a lot more options there. So on that front, I'm very happy. And I hope that you guys are happy, because I am less than 2 weeks away. By the end of next week, I'll say roughly 2 weeks ago. Not next Monday, but the following Monday's show will be the greatest podcast of all time. It will be, because then that'll be the end of the 8 weeks, and then the first week will be the 9th week, so that's the first week in which I will have succeeded in the 8-week plan of becoming, during that 8-week period of time, the greatest podcast of all time. So it's a humble goal, and I think that we're well on our way. I think some people probably have already said you're already there, but not me, because I'm a realist. I'm humble, and I'm a realist. That's why I made an 8-week plan and not a 1-week plan, because I'm a realist. All right, ladies and gentlemen, with that, I bid you all farewell.
Thank you for engaging with this material presented. As usual, remember your views, your suppositions do not make you subhuman, nor do they permit you to subhumanize others. No humans were harmed in the making of the show, and we extend no wish of harm in anyone who hasn't directly harmed or threatened to harm others first, no matter how reprehensible we find your views.
We will see you in the next Frico Talks, where Frico attempts to talk about news without freaking out.
It's not